This is the lake effect snow band we've been tracking all morning long, definitely providing for 1 to 2 snowfall rates per hour with some of this snow. Fairport Harbor over to New Perry, looking at some moderate snow over to Leroy, right along this I-90 stretch as you approach the county line here into Ashtabula, Geneva, over to Trumbull County. Hartsgrove, looking at some moderate snow over to Lenox, lighter snow, but this overall snow band is continuing to waffle in from the west. So Chardon, as far south as Huntsburg and Geauga County, right along 322. You guys are running into some troubling spots. Across the metro, 271 Pepper Pike over to Moreland Hills. As you get over to South Russell into Russell, just light flurries falling at this time, so no major impacts for your rush hour commute. Visibility is down to less than 1.5 miles in Ashtabula, so definitely looking at some visibility impacts as you get off to the east in Ashtabula over to Lenox, those locations, and over. Definitely looking at this lake effect snow band continuing to waffle in. It was a little bit weaker now as it re-intensified, picking up a little bit more moisture from Lake Erie. Also watching out for a little bit more development of snow showers off to the north. So for us, mainly quiet and cloudy near the lake shore. Some of us waking up to some sunny skies south of Medina County, Wayne County, over to Holmes County. It's cold all throughout northern Ohio. We have temperatures in the teens and 20s, feel like numbers in the single digits. As we go throughout the next 12 hours, we get the lake effect snow out of here, but by that time, we can see a brand new coating upwards to 1 inch where we have this advisory for Ashtabula County. The National Weather Service is suggesting where snow bands persist, they could see the higher totals of possibly 2 to 4 inches of snow as we wrap up this afternoon. Again, that advisory lasts until 1 o'clock for this afternoon. Otherwise, overcast day. It's cold. Temperatures remaining on the chilly side, nothing but mid-20s. Teens and 20s for tonight with a light west-northwest wind with overcast conditions getting started for your weekend planner. Speaking of which, here's your National Design Mart hourly forecast going into the day for your Saturday. Temperatures starting in the teens, warming up into the mid-20s, but mainly cloudy conditions. Another clipper system will be inbound for us as we head after dark for your Saturday into early Sunday. It's going to clip us with some lake-in-hand snow showers. This is in the wee mornings, early Sunday morning, but turning a little bit more transient with the lake effect snow, waking up around daybreak. We could wake up to a brand new coating of snow, but minimum impacts for this weekend. High pressure is going to be squeezing in from the west. Could see a little bit of afternoon sun, especially off to the west, but overall, just minor impacts with the overnight snowfall. A warm front will be lifting through come Monday.
Hello, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Stanonis. Lake effect snow, it's a rare and unique weather phenomenon, and it can happen anywhere there's a large enough lake with cold enough air flowing over the relatively warmer lake water. A more common place for this, for all the weather ingredients to come together, well, it's the Great Lakes region, and that's where we see most of that lake effect snow happening. And lake effect snow, as we know, can have a big weather impact. So let's go more into detail on that and how lake effect snow develops. Well, you get colder air that moves over the warmer lake water, and as that warmer air rises, since it's more buoyant and less dense than colder air, as it rises, it cools and condenses and forms clouds, then precipitation and snowfall that dumps downwind of the lake and over land. And you can get multiple feet in a short period of time from lake effect snow. There are 3 main weather ingredients that need to come together for this. 1, cold enough air flowing over that relatively warmer lake water to generate enough of that instability for convection and that rising air. And the greater the temperature difference, the heavier the snow can be. And you can even get thunder snow. Also, you need enough atmospheric moisture in place to get those snow crystals developing and growing in that rising unstable air. And 3, the wind flow over the lake, best case, is over the longest fetch or length of the lake, giving that air more more to work with in terms of generating more instability and producing snowfall. So the direction of the wind flow is important for the snow amounts and locations of the heaviest snow bands. For instance, over Lake Erie, when you get that southwesterly wind flow, that's when areas just northeast of the lake can get a lot of heavy snow, including Buffalo, New York. Same for a westerly flow over Lake Ontario. The eastern end of the lake then can get buried in the heavy snow. Another unique thing about lake effect snow is it is very localized. The lake effect snow bands are usually pretty narrow, sometimes only 10 to 15 miles wide, and just a few miles north or south of the band can be mostly sunny. And get this, a lake effect snow machine can just keep going and going for hours and days, generating significant amounts of snow very quickly, as long as the main weather ingredients stay in place. Lake effect snow events can be very intense and of long duration, producing snowfall rates up to around 5 inches per hour, creating whiteout conditions and blizzards. Massive amounts of snow, multiple feet of snow, can be produced in just a day. And lake effect snow events can last many, many days, which can shut down local cities and airports. That's why it is important to stay weather aware of updates on where and when lake effect snow bands can develop, and have a safety plan in place, such as enough supplies to hunker down through the storm, also alternate routes and travel plans well before lake effect snow happens. I'm meteorologist Jennifer Stenonis.
I'm meteorologist Caitlin McGrath, and I want to take a few minutes and talk about some of the winter weather you'll hear making headlines here over the cold winter months, starting with Arctic blasts that come from the polar vortex. So let's start with the basics. What the polar vortex is. It's an area of low pressure and cold air that surrounds it that sits at both the north and the South Pole. When we have a strong polar vortex, we have a really tight jet stream that keeps that cold air trapped in place at the poles. But sometimes the jet stream weakens and that polar vortex, that Arctic air, can sink south. Sometimes it can go as far south in the United States as parts of Texas and the southeast. But most often you'll kind of hear about these Arctic blasts through parts of the Midwest, the Great Plains, and the Northeast. Now you'll also hear us talking about Alberta clippers, and they get their names because oftentimes these weak little winter systems form in Canada, right around the region of Alberta, and they just kind of clip parts of the United States. This is the typical path that they may take as they move through the Great Plains into the Midwest, across parts of the Mid-Atlantic, and into the Northeast. They are fast moving and they oftentimes lack moisture. These are not your big blizzards, they're not big nor'easters, but they typically are enough to bring just a little bit of light snow, and oftentimes what moves in behind a clipper is really cold air and blustery wind. Just two types of weather phenomenon that you'll hear about here as we head through the next several months.
Let's break down some other common terms you hear this time of year. Winter weather advisory, winter storm watch, and winter storm warning. Winter weather advisories are issued when light amounts of snow or wintry precipitation are expected, but could cause slick travel. A winter storm watch is issued a couple of days out when it looks like the pieces are coming together for a winter storm, heavy snow, ice, or even a blizzard. It means you should pay close attention to forecast updates. Winter storm warnings are issued when there's growing confidence in a storm hitting, usually for 6 inches or more of snow or significant ice. It means there will likely be a big impact on travel.